Hello, everybody. Laura Eisenhower here. I hope everybody had a good week. It's been quite an intense week. I'm going to kind of backtrack a little bit and share some of the aspects, and it might help to clarify some things. And I'm about to go out of town, so I wanted to make sure that I got a video out. I'm going to be on a road trip starting tomorrow. And yeah, it's been, quite an intense week. I think people have been aware of what's been going on with Gaia TV and David Wilcock and Corey Good resigning. I got kind of caught in the middle of some of it and had in my hands the actual resignation letter of David Wilcock. And it's really, really intense because it pretty much exposes everything about Gaia TV that is less than comfortable to become aware of. I never really watched it that much personally, but I know a lot of people did and were regular followers of everything that was put out. And so it must be really, really shocking. I mean, it's shocking no matter who one is, but yeah, I would, maybe research a little bit more of it. If you have, any particular questions personally, maybe I can answer. I don't want to get into it too much because it's sort of in a fragile place. I did post something and then I ended up taking it down that showed the letter, but it's made public now. So it's all out there. I could share bits and pieces, but I guess I could say if you're really curious, it's easy to find. And so the lid is being blowing off of everything that has been dark and nefarious. So this is a really, positive sign that the dark forces really don't have any grip on us anymore. The ability for people to stand up for themselves and see through things is at an all-time high. And this is what the Ascension Window Period is all about. And it's not a comfortable journey. It's really about purging and making space for the new energies to come in. And we're moving, pretty well in the right direction, very well in the right direction. It's been a long time coming. And, we might feel a lot of ascension symptoms and a lot of crisis energies coming in because as all this stuff is getting blown out of the water or the lid getting blown off of all these different things, it also sets us free in a lot of ways, especially if we had some level of attachment to it. And sometimes that can create an unconscious block in our process. So I'm sure a lot of people are feeling like they're moving some pretty intense energy. Last week, Chiron, the wounded healer in the sign of Aries, was stationary in the sky. And I said that was Wednesday. And when a planet is stationary, it has more power and influence over us versus if it was moving in direct motion or retrograde. And so it's been standstill Wednesday and then started to move into retrograde. And it represents the wounded warrior and wounded self-identity because Aries is ruled by Mars and Mars has to do with our identity, our ego identity. And so it can relate to childhood wounds where we felt like we weren't fully understood, that we weren't really seen or heard, or we really didn't have the voice that we wanted to have because, it's very much a leadership energy. So in the places that we felt shut down, those wounds might come back up, or things connected to self-doubt or, any negative self-identity issues. Also past lives where we might have felt like we are in sort of a leadership position or we needed to take a leadership position, but we were persecuted or compromised for it. And I think we all, know how that goes. And so sometimes when we want to move forward and be assertive and bring people into our world a little bit more and we hit this energy, sometimes it might cause us to pause. It might cause us self-doubt and the feeling like maybe we can't. But there's been a lot of supportive energies in this last week to help us to sort of look above that, kind of look from our higher self and nurture that part of our inner wounds or past life traumas or, just anything we're sensitive to in the collective that causes us to feel pain. Because, sometimes it relates to just our empathicness and what we take on. And so that really kind of helps us to steer that energy in the right direction without feeling in that victim consciousness or that kind of childish reaction of just, wanting to throw a fit or, some of those other aspects where we might just be in denial and kind of projecting or blaming. So when we are able to look at our wounds from our higher perspective, it really helps us to work with it in a conscious way. It helps us to gain the knowledge. And once we gain the knowledge, it helps us to be a healer for others because the wounded healer is really training us to be a healer for others. But we're much more of an effective healer when we go through something and rise above it ourselves. And, that way we're much more easily, we can be more relatable. Versus just saying, oh yeah, like I totally understand, but I've never been through it myself. It's important that we are able to I just got a notification that completely distracted me about this whole David Wilcock thing going on, and I completely read the first line, so excuse me. So anyway, yeah, just being able to look at it from a higher perspective, we're able to move into the teacher mode, more the healer mode, more the, yes, I've experienced it, been there, done it, and I can kind of give you some insights, some maybe jewels of wisdom, or some, compassion, and just the ability to hold space. And people like that relatability. I mean, sometimes it's really hard to just listen to the people that act like they know it, but they just kind of really don't. So we move into July 8th, Sunday. The sun will trine Neptune. That's another one of those higher aspects. Trine aspects mean it's harmonious. The sun making a harmonious connection with Neptune is awesome because Neptune is the planet of multidimensional energy, our creative imagination. So we might feel like we're like really able to daydream and tap into our creative side on a spiritual level, knowing that we can access all this amazing like energy to be artistic with, from the multidimensional planes, really feeling into the fact that like we can draw from our imagination to affect physical density so that we're not so stuck in this fixed reality. We can dream our way out of a lot of ruts because there's going to be a lot open to us to, draw from. It's like having a bunch of paints in front of you and being like, oh my gosh, I can be really creative with this. Musicians tend to have a strong Neptune energy. Then we'll be moving in on July 9th with a Mercury square Jupiter right before Jupiter actually stations direct, coming out of retrograde, moving into, stationary into direct motion. And Jupiter's in the sign of Scorpio. So it's been retrograde. We've probably been processing a lot, turning the lens inward on the transformative processes we need to go through and how we can relate that to our higher self. And when a planet goes direct, we're ready to kind of like move forward with this really intense energy that we've been processing and internalizing in a good way to do the inner work. But on the 9th, Mercury will square Jupiter. So we might find a lot of intense conversations as we lead up to that powerful expression of Jupiter. Because like I said, when a planet stations, it's way more intense. So we might be feeling into like, wow, I really need to express myself in a really maybe overbearing way, because squared aspects are challenging aspects. If it was a trine aspect, a harmonious aspect, or a sextile, which is also harmonious, we might find, oh my God, that was the best conversation I ever had. That's such an incredible thing. We're all flowing really well. This aspect on the 9th, Mercury square, which is a little bit about tension, Mercury square Jupiter, because Jupiter expands everything it touches. So if it's a squared aspect, it's going to expand and increase that challenge. It just might mean, kind of those overbearing kind of conversations. Maybe everybody's interrupting everyone. So if you find yourself with friends or family, people might be talking over each other. You might really be wanting to make your point. It's nothing detrimental, but it certainly flows a little bit better with the harmonious aspects. Like, oh my gosh, we're all just like having such a great conversation. Not to say that this will mean it's going to be a bad conversation, but it might mean everybody needs to just step back, take a pause, take a deep breath, chill out a little. Then, on the 10th, Jupiter's going to start to move forward. You'll feel probably a surge of power, energy, transformative energies that have completed themselves, maybe a rush of sexual energy, because Scorpio, we all know kind of how Scorpio is. Maybe this emergence from like this underworld journeying that we've been going through as it's been retrograde. I think people have been experiencing a little bit of that retrograde energy of, going into the underworld. So Venus trine Uranus will be on the 11th, and Venus trine Uranus will give us that feeling of, wow, I can be in a relationship and be actually independent and not feel like it's a threatening thing, or my partner can be more independent and it's not like threatening. There's more trust in the ability to have space. If it was a challenging aspect like a square, it might mean like, I just really need to get some space. And the other person's like, oh my gosh, why? Or yeah, I want space too, because everybody would be feeling it to some degree. But still, it doesn't mean, sometimes it feels like a conflicting thing, depending on where one is. It could mean, an on again, off again type dynamic with somebody, like, maybe just like that shocking, like, I got to get the heck out of here. And maybe I'll call you later. So I won't go into an aspect that's actually not happening, but just to show you the contrast. Venus trine Uranus is, yeah, okay, going to take some space. I'll see you a little later. Yeah, awesome. If we're not in a partnership, we might feel into more neutrality about the things that we once were very attached to, because Uranus really represents independence, sovereignty, epiphanies that lead to great awakening. If it's in a challenging aspect, it means we're resisting it, so we feel the conflict, or it's not in a timing that's suitable. But if it's harmonious, it's just like, wow, just feeling a lot of liberation in the heart, which is nice because, say it was a Pluto aspect, it can get really heavy, really intense, even obsessive. So Uranus kind of lightens the load. So that'll feel real good, especially after last week. July 12th, the sun is opposite Pluto. Well, okay, here comes Pluto. It's like, you can't get rid of me. That'll be kind of intense because, the sun in Cancer wanting to kind of move in this direction, and Pluto kind of saying, no, let's go back and do some inner work. Let's clear some stuff. Let's transform some stuff. Let's move, then forward after you clear a few things. So we might find that teeter-totter, which oppositions do. The sun and Pluto, just like I was telling about the Mars-Mercury opposition, I think I got into that. If I didn't, there was a Mars-Mercury opposition that, might have created that sort of challenge between needing to express yourself and then, feeling a trigger that makes you a little bit aggressive. And that actually happened last week. I don't think I did mention it, but it's in the past. So the Sun-Pluto opposition is going to maybe put us on a teeter-totter that makes us feel a little bit emotionally unstable. So look out for that on the 12th. Maybe lay a little bit low, prepare to maybe go through a deep process that's uncomfortable. Then we'll be moving into July 12th, solar eclipse. It's in the sign of Cancer, and solar eclipse are really powerful. It's usually a time of optimism, excitement, and just feeling like, you have a chance to reassess everything and shake off things that really don't belong anymore. Anything that makes us feel like we've been held back, like shackles that have been holding us back. And so our opportunity to kind of our opportunity to shake it off can help prepare us for the lunar eclipse. And that will be on July 27th. And that prepares us for setting our intentions for the next 6 months. So in that window, we'll be shaking stuff off. And then by the time the lunar eclipse happens, we'll be ready to really set intentions based on a more clear energy field. So it's really important to focus on keeping your creative channels clear, keeping yourself grounded, making sure that nobody else's projections, no propaganda or memes in the outer world are infecting your creative energy. Because when that gets in the mix, then you got to contend with it and it can slow us down. So this is a time to really feel into that sovereignty, into that clearing energy, and then really setting intentions to move forward. Hopefully I'll send out another video to remind, because it is a little far away. But just make sure you kind of replay this maybe again, knowing that this is a little bit longer of an extended reading, just in case I can't get back and do another one, because the eclipses are going to be important. It's a time of leaving what is safe and comfortable in order to grow more fully into yourself. Eclipses are times of huge change. They usher in evolution, and they're just, deeply transformative. So we want to harness that energy so that we can make the most out of it, because we can make huge leaps in our relationships, in our family life, in our health, in the way we relate to the world, in the way we relate to our mission and everything like that. So that's awesome. Going back to the 12th, that being the solar eclipse, which is actually the same day as the sun opposite Pluto, which is going to intensify. We move into a little bit of a gap, and then on the 14th, we have Venus trine Saturn. So after that period of, my heart feels all free and I feel really secure in myself, I feel sovereign, my heart's not stuck in these attachments, well, then Venus trine Saturn. So it kind of regrounds the energy. Uranus tends to rebel. With the harmonious aspects, it's not so rebellious, it's more neutral and just sovereign. But the Saturn energy has a lot to do with commitment and agreements. So one might feel with the space that they got that they're able to kind of like make some decisions that are secure. I can commit to this now. I'm into, more longevity here in this particular situation. So it's not like you need to know all these aspects, but the thing is, if you're finding there's a bumpy road and you can, play this and, pick out like a certain date, or that you're struggling with something, it's nice to know what energies are available, because sometimes we can actually carry old energies that linger and keep us from appreciating the things that are available. Like we might be stuck on last week's Chiron issues. Even though we might have had access to our higher self, we don't always take in the resources that are available. We have free will to just say, no, I want to be stuck. And that's nice that that's over there, but I'm not going to, even pay attention to it. And that's the thing with some of these aspects. It's nice to know they're there, because we can meditate on it. We can call it in. And sometimes those energies are blocked, and we can get conditioned into thinking that they're always blocked, when there are massive times for us to actually, really bring it in. And when they are blocked, it just means we need more attention on the physical plane and more attention maybe on the mundane, knowing that that's temporary. And that's the thing with energies, is whatever we're dealing with, it's always temporary. Planets are always moving, everything's changing. And when we start to believe, oh, we're stuck, this is just going to be the way it is forever, that's when we start to close ourselves off from even the ascension energies and what can carry us. I might actually stop here, because I'm definitely going to do another one and kind of leave it at the eclipse energies. I mean, I went into the Venus trine Saturn, but I'm going to actually be back from out of town, and I'll just save the rest for when I get back. So just fasten your seatbelts. There's massive disclosure happening even within the disclosure movement, where things that have been happening, where the disclosure has been coming through, there's disclosure within the disclosure, because there was some very negative, dark activity taking place within Gaia TV. So yeah, you might want to kind of put your head around that. I mean, there's petitions going around. I doubt that it's going to be new news, but yeah, I've been kind of like in the heart of it and having a lot of dialogues with people like heavily involved. I'm going to be going to Dimensions of Disclosure in August, and I'll be with Corey Emery and David Wilcock, and it'll be very interesting to see how we all band together and work this energy and just sort of figure out the next step. Because I mean, there's lawsuits involved. It's really, really heavy. And I got great news. I'm going to be going to China. I'm going with Dr. Michael Sala. I hope Richard Dolan's going to be able to come. They're trying to get him to go, but they're choosing 3 speakers, and they're, really taking good care of us. And so that'll be in China. And I'm also going to be working on a docu-series in Ireland. And hopefully that will all pan out, and my book will be done soon. So, look forward to just hearing more about that, and just, the fruits of, what that will bring about. Hopefully those events in China will be recorded. And of course, I think Dimensions of Disclosure, which is in August with Emery, Corey, and David, and a bunch of other wonderful speakers, Teresa Yanaros, Jordan Sather. I don't want to leave anybody out, but I mean, you can look on my website. So it's www.cosmicgaia.org. You can book your 10-minute session, $50 for a half hour. Share this with your friends if you definitely feel it's useful. And hopefully you got it. I'm going to just, make sure, everybody knows, hey, I sent it out. If you didn't get it, let me know. I'll send it to you manually, but you wouldn't even be hearing this to be able to know. But I will be posting. Just want to make sure it gets to everybody. I'm not the best tech person. But anyway, I love all of you. Thank you for supporting me through subscribing, and I hope you feel supported by me. Just know that the energies are actually just probably going to feel a lot better than they have lately. It all pretty much looks good, but, pay attention to that eclipse, the eclipse energies. July 12th is the solar eclipse, and July 27th is the lunar eclipse. And just one thing that I want to make sure I don't miss is that the solar eclipse on the 12th is in Cancer. The solar eclipse, yeah, I think I said it. The solar eclipse is in Cancer on the 12th. The lunar eclipse is in Aquarius on the 27th. So the properties of Cancer have a lot to do with just sensitivity, our emotions. Aquarian energy is connected to Uranus, which is all about, awakening, and just, being in sort of a heightened, eccentric, sort of unique, sovereign space, where we really get to find our own individuality that isn't so ego-based, but it's also including a higher perspective and awareness. And so we'll be working with the things we're sensitive to and the things that we want to kind of supercharge and kind of bring into our life that, represents really moving into the higher octave of ascension, which Aquarian energy is, very helpful with as we talk about the Aquarian age. Uranus is a very powerful electrical energy that will stimulate our nervous system. So our emotional body wants to be in agreement with our nervous system so that we're not looping in trauma. So I know this was sort of a long video. I hope I didn't lose you along the way. Hope I didn't talk too fast, but as much as I try, it's not so easy. But sending lots of love, and take care, everybody. Till next time.